Good evening and welcome to Spotlight. And this week I'm in the studio with Rob, or as we know him, Gatesy from the West Ham Massive. How are you, Rob? Thanks for coming on.
I am very good, and I'm delighted to be here. And thank you very much for the invite.
No, it's most welcome, mate. I mean, we've only kind of got to know each other for a short period of time, but it feels like I've known you for ages. You know, you've got a familiar face for some reason. I don't know what that's all about, but yeah, you look very familiar, put it that way. So going to get people in the chat, like I said, going to ask some questions later on near the end, but I'm going to ask you questions about yourself, and you know, you can be honest, you can go around the houses. You could say, "Whoa, that's a bit too much."
No, that's fine, mate.
Good, mate. So hopefully we're going to have quite an enjoyable kind of conversation here. So let's say hello to the people in the chat first of all. As always, usual suspect, good evening to yourself. If it's true about Sola and Zezzy, then I've got a feeling Paqueta, Bowen, Kudos or Alvarez will be sold. Well, he says, I mean, one of them. Ooh, what do you think about that?
Well, I could probably point you in the direction of a video that went out on the West Ham Massive about 15 minutes ago, where both Soler and Zeze were referenced in the video itself. So you might have even seen it, suspect. So I don't know, but I'm not quite sure. I mean, because Zeze is a 19-year-old centre back who's barely played a dozen games, just slightly more. I think he's played 14 professional games. So I'm not really too sure he's for the here and the now. I think he's one for the future. Soler is basically going to be, as I understand it, a backup to Paquetá. It may be that he's the intended replacement for Paquetá if, as people seem to think is probably going to happen, that he'll probably be here for this season and will be off at the end of the season, which a lot of people think. So it may well be that he's initially essentially Paquetá's backup to begin with, and then 12 months down the track, he's actually his replacement. I don't know.
Be interesting though. It's a good point actually. Yeah, I think as you said, watch this space, as they normally say.
Yeah.
Big up, gentlemen. Big up, Ross, to yourself and that. Tony, the muffin diver, looking good and full. Glad you're back to yourself again. Thank you very much, Ross. That was Muffy, he says. Good afternoon, Peter Chelmsford. Good evening, everyone, especially the bloke from inside number 9. Evening, James. E20 Zone TV. James. Good evening, lads. Look like brothers.
Maybe that's where you're getting that sort of vibe that you kind of know me. Maybe we're brothers from another mother or something. I don't know. Yeah. All I need is the goatee, isn't it? And it's like separated at birth.
Brilliant. Good evening, Bargav. Big up to yourself as well. And he's asking, is Paqueta banned still? No,
not at all. Not at all.
He's going to play the majority of the season, which is going to be useful for us, put it that way. Eros, sorry, family channel boys, my manners. Not at all, Eros, you know that. Evening, Dal, Oregon Goon. Hope you're keeping well.
Evening.
Yeah, Paqueta is banned. And big up Guna Matata, big up the Irons, big up to yourself as always. You know that. Peter's asking, please tell me if it is a wind-up being linked with injury-prone Abrahams again.
I hope it is. If it had been the Abraham prior to the injury, Pete, I'd have been quite happy with that. I'm not too sure that he's quite going to be the same.
Yeah, this one's been in and out for quite a while now, isn't it? This one. Hopefully it's not the case, as you said. And to the panel as well, and to the chat, chasing the muff around.
Always chasing it. Never catch up with it, but always chasing.
I was going to say, you're always chasing, exactly. So anyway, the first question I'm going to ask you, Rob, and it's quite an easy, straightforward one. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm a married father of 3. I live in Dartford at the minute. Born and bred in southeast London, though, and most people will probably like go, hang on, you're a West Ham fan. I know what people think. It's like, well, you should support the club from where you're from, and not, broadly speaking, I like to subscribe to that. But with me, there's a little bit of a story to it. So my dad's was a mad keen West Ham fan, was a season ticket holder for many years back in the day. Went to a couple of FA Cup finals, European trips, all the rest of it. So a lot of people then turn around and say, "Oh, right, so your dad was a West Ham fan. That was how you got into it. Was he from East London?" And I'm like, "No, he was from where I was from as well, which is a place called Kennington in South London, South East London, quite close to sort of like St Thomas's Hospital, the Oval Cricket Ground, that sort of part of the world. So you're sort of like geographically 4 miles in that direction, you're at Millwall. 4 miles in that direction, you're at Chelsea. But the reason my dad started supporting West Ham, and this is basically the genesis of why I became a West Ham fan, my brothers, my children, blah, 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 is my granddad was actually an Arsenal fan, but he never ever sort of forced my dad to support the team. And all he turned around to my dad and said was, "Just make sure that if you support the team, just make sure you support a London team." So most of the people that were where my dad lived at the time were Millwall, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, all those sort of teams.
Okay.
And my dad was sort of like contemplating who to support. And in that round about that time in 1964, Bobby Moore lifted the FA Cup. That was the catalyst. That was the moment. The die was cast.
And forever now, we've always been doom and gloom with certain places, and other times we've been really well as supporting our club. So you've already kind of alluded how long you support your club, and you've obviously said, but what influenced you? As you said, it's your father there and that. But the next question I want to throw to you is this one: what is your best highlight from West Ham?
Until Prague, I'd have struggled with that, but because of Prague, that's a tap in. I was fortunate enough to be in Prague when we won it. I wasn't in the ground. I was at the fan park, which was it was opposite. I'm trying to remember now. So the final was at the Slavia Prague ground, if I remember rightly, and the fan park was opposite the Sparta Prague ground. I think I've got that right. The fan park was opposite the ground, the other Prague game, the Prague club, to where the final was actually being held. I was there with 2 of my 3 children, and the only thing that could have made that day better would have been for all 3 of them to be there. But there was, my son couldn't make it, and part of it was because he didn't really want to be there, which was fine. It's just that was the only thing that was missing on the day. But so the highlight for me is Prague, 100%, and that is despite the fact I was not there. The atmosphere was electric. We all had a bit of a sense of anticipation, but it was tinged with that this is West Ham sort of thing. And I was there in 2006. So I had that little bit of trepidation going in of like, I've been to a final before and we've got that close, and it just got sort of like, it just slipped away from us right at the death. So I know what that feels like, and I didn't want that to happen again, but I was kind of prepared that if it happens, it happens. And obviously, we go 1-0 up, penalty. It took an eternity for the VAR to make that decision. And they eventually arrived at the decision that it was a penalty. I mean, we was all screaming in the fan park. We're going, it's a penalty for Christ's sake. But I guess we all had claret and blue glasses on, so there might be a little bit of bias in it. But even to this day, I still think it's blatantly obvious. And one look at the VAR should have been enough, but it wasn't. Eventually, the penalty gets given. Ben Rama scores. Great. You're thinking we're off to the races. But then a short time later, I think it was within about 10 minutes, if memory serves, we obviously concede the equaliser. And if I'm being completely honest with you, Tone, I think that if you're going by how the play unfolded on the night, I think you've got to say that Fiorentina were very unlucky. However, I've been at many, many games where we've been the better team and we've managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of certain victory. So I'm not going to complain at a game where, okay, maybe we were second best, Maybe the other team should have won. Who walked away with the trophy? I will take that. Not a problem.
I agree on that, because I think if you look at how many times we not had the rub of the green, you know.
100%.
So when you look at an opportunity like that, yeah, grab it with both arms, put it under your arm, and run like hell, basically. But yeah, that was a great night. I mean, I was indoors watching it, and I think we kind of nearly ran at the door screaming, like, you know, so ecstatic with the win. Basically, I think the neighbours thought that either one of us was murdering each other, but you know, you can't take that away, as you said.
Yeah.
There is some questions being fired in on that, so I will kind of get one of these. And the first one, obviously, is from Maguna, and it's a little bit different from us. So, as he says here, as we know right now, do you think we look like a team going for the title versus Man U, Chelsea, or West Ham?
Is
an Arsenal fan, as you can tell by the title there.
Well, again, I referenced my late grandfather in my sort of how did I get to be a West Ham fan, and he was, as I say, he was an Arsenal fan. And for better or worse, because of my granddad, I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for Arsenal. And I actually said before a ball was kicked last season that I believed that Arsenal would win the title. And part of that was probably because I had a soft spot for Arsenal because of my late grandfather. That was pretty much the only reason, if I'm being honest, just out of respect to my granddad. And also partly because I thought, well, the season prior, they got close but didn't make it. And they just obviously pulled in a player that I rated and still rate incredibly highly to this day. Obviously, Declan Rice. I thought he would be the difference, and he almost was. There was just that little sort of bit around Christmas where, ironically, they went a couple of games where they slipped up and lost points here and there, which obviously is what cost them us. And ironically, I was there for one of them when we beat them 2-0 at the Emirates.
Yeah.
And Declan gave away a penalty right at the end. But we didn't score it, but it didn't change the outcome. And I said all the way from game 1 to game 37 of the season that Arsenal would win the title. And it was only after the 37th game, and I looked at what was left, and it's like, right, City have got a home fixture against us. Well, we're not getting anything there. So Arsenal's title hopes have gone down the Kermit. Simple as that. Do I think Arsenal look like a team going for the title? It's impossible for me to say without seeing what their current version is. I think that they have to be in the conversation. They've had 2 runners-up spots, and I think that getting so near and yet so far will be something that will drive them on. Manchester City are an amazing team, but I do wonder if some of the stuff that's going on away from the pitch may well impact on them. And that's where I think Arsenal could take advantage potentially. But there's lots of other teams that you're not quite sure what version they're going to be. You know, we've got Liverpool, who all those years under Klopp were title contenders, played great football. What are they going to look like under Arne Slot? What are Manchester United going to look like? Okay, it's under the same manager, but it's different ownership now and different set of expectations. What are they going to look like? You know, there's a Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea are a bit of a weird one because I think if they'd have kept Poch, they might have been a contender because the way they finished last season, they were like a steam train. And it seemed to me like they were just starting to get what Poch was all about. And then they've kicked him into touch, and they've got in a manager who's never been a Premier League manager. So it's a really big risk that they've taken with Maresca. So I think, to answer the question, I've gone kind of around the houses with this one, but I think they will be a contender for the title. But I'd need to really see the first 4 or 6 games before I can really sort of nail my colours to the mast on that one.
Yeah, because I think if you look at, I mean, they had Arteta on earlier on, saying again how much they've got to compete and keep in with the pack and go forward. But I think, like you said, because he actually he's Goon has actually kind of followed up by saying he's actually meant by the transfer window. When you look at that, Arsenal have only they've signed on Raya, after that loan spell they had with him. They've got obviously there's some people calling him cauliflower. They've just signed him in Calafiori.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but most people kind of call him cauliflower because they can't pronounce the name by all accounts. And now they're waiting for this Morello deal to come over the line, and it seems to be forever dragging itself out. Whereas if you look at it, we've obviously just signed their 8th player. Chelsea, as you said, I mean, that's whatever's going on there. That's a weird and wonderful one. And Man U, obviously now with Wan-Bissaka, they've managed to get 2 players in for the price of one, basically. So
yeah,
it's one of those. I think I'm agree with you there, Rob. I think until you see the first couple of games, that's when you start to get an idea who is and who isn't.
Yeah.
Dale saying Dean Ashton was pony with sunglasses on.
He was. He might. Well, I wouldn't say pony. He was. He was not. He was not the Dean Ashton post injury that he was pre-injury. He was a wonderful player. He could have been anything he wanted to be without that injury.
Yeah, opportunity. I think we never got to see the real Dean Ashton, and I think that's really sad in certain respects because I think he would have become obviously not only a West Ham legend, I think he would have gone on highly in the England setup as well.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure he'd have been if he hadn't got that injury. I'm not sure he'd have been at West Ham for too much longer. If I'm being brutally honest about it, he'd have gone on to a Man United, and obviously I'm talking the Man United that were winning titles and European Cups under Fergie. I think he'd have very likely gone there, and he'd have been an absolute sensation.
Yeah, I agree with that. Peter's saying highlight for me was beating the arse in 1980. Yeah, I change my background often on that, and I get one Arsenal fan saying, like, you make me sick. But hey, that's what it is. James is saying, what has been your lowest point as a West Ham fan in your time supporting the club? I mean, I know you've got a show later on that. We haven't got much time, but try and cram as much in as you can for this answer.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I got. I'm not doing anything till 8 o'clock, mate. So you got me till just before then. Okay. So my lowest point. I think there's 2 that immediately stand out, and I'm probably going to lean towards the aforementioned 2006 FA Cup final because I was there in Cardiff. I was in the stadium. I was there with one of my mates. And we're playing a team that, let's not forget, that 12 months earlier had lifted the European Cup. At the same time that we was at that point in the second tier of the footballing pyramid. And you fast forward to 12 months later, and there we are in the Millennium Stadium, 3-2 up, and good value for it, I thought, to be brutally honest. Okay, Konchesky's goal had an element of luck about it, and there was an own goal, and there was a mistake from, I think it was goalkeeper Pepe Reina, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which obviously allowed Ashton to capitalise. So, but I think we more than held our own against, like I say, a team that 12 months earlier lifted the European Cup, and we was in the second tier. So, I remember being behind Pepe Reina's goal, and the ball's down the other end. And I always remember, out of the corner of my eye, I saw the fourth official walking out with the board to indicate how much stoppage time there was. And I'm fairly sure that it was 4 minutes from memory. Puts up the 4 minutes, and as he puts the board down, I turn to my mate who sat to my left, and my exact words to him were, "We're going to win the bleep-ing cup." I'll censor it out because I don't want to come on and upset some viewers maybe by using certain language. You can fill in the blanks. We're going to win the bleeping cup. And literally as I turned around, Tone, this ball is dropping out of the air, and running onto it was Steven Gerrard. And you know what happened next.
Yeah.
My heart sank. We obviously got through extra time. Even then, we still had the opportunity to win it, but poor old Marlon Harewood was hopping around on one leg and just couldn't convert the opportunity. A fit Marlon Harewood would have buried it, and we'd have won that game 4-3 in extra time. And then we get to penalties, and other than Teddy Sheringham, everybody else fluffed their lines.
True.
I'd say I'd lean towards that, but probably a very close second, a wafer behind it, is probably the relegation in 03, when we, again, just for context, for anyone that maybe doesn't know, 12 months earlier, we, in Glenn Roeder's first season as our manager, finished 7th in the Premier League. Fast forward 12 months after that, and with virtually the same squad and a couple of additions, we had David James, we had Jermaine Defoe, we had Michael Carrick, we had Joe Cole, we had Paolo Di Canio, we had Freddie Canute, on and on and on. Trevor Sinclair, another mention, Steve Lomas, Thomas Repka, Christian Daly, Sebastian Schemmel. I mean, is that enough for you? I mean, you know, and we got relegated with that team. Not only did we get relegated, but somehow we managed to get a total of 42 points, which in no other season would relegate a team except that one. I mean, that is just so West Ham. And obviously, a couple of games from the end, Glenn Roeder tragically has, the late Glenn Roeder, God rest him, has the brain condition that puts him out for the last couple of games, and Sir Trevor steps into the role. 2 wins and a draw wasn't enough, and we got relegated. And obviously, off of the back of that, we lost basically the bulk of that squad, and it took a little bit of time to come back from that. That was tough. That was a tough one. I'd say that the cup final pips it, but it's a close thing.
Yeah, I agree on that. That's for sure. Going to saying, obviously, I see your rice sale was used well, plus the cup winnings. Excuse me. What's your thoughts on where you were finished?
If we're just going to sort of like put my expectations on a positional finish, I'm going to say somewhere around 7th or 8th. Again, I need to really see us the first half a dozen games before I can properly nail my colours to the mast. And the thing is, Tony, is that other than the players that have been brought in, the rest of the players have had Moyes ball ingrained into them over the last 3-4 years. And it's a bit like muscle memory in that it might take time for that to be rinsed out of them. And some of them might not be able to adapt and assimilate to the Julien Lopetegui way of playing football, and they will need to go. But the ones that can have half a chance. But so I will always put an asterisk by, I'm really going to need to see the first half a dozen games. So don't commit me to this, but I'm going to say that the reasonable expectation, given the coach we've got, given the backing he's been given the players that have come in so far, and we may not be done, is I'm going to say we should be 7th or 8th. We should be pushing for those European spots for the majority of towards the back end of the season. Even if we fall short, I'm going to take that as a win.
Yeah, I think that's the intention. Looking at the signings we've got, I think Europe is obviously the benchmark in my eyes. Let's just catch up on the chat on this as well. E20 Zone TV. Last time you was on, good info for your giveover. They saying obviously thank you, and obviously James is also mentioning smash a like the video, guys. Absolutely.
Cheers, James.
I was talking on the point of the window. Yeah, he's mentioned that part there. Arsenal needs a 20-goal striker. Yeah, I think it is true, Pete. I've said it on my show I do with an Arsenal guy and a Man United guy. It's that last percentage that they're missing is that a striker. That will get them over the line, I think. Thanks, new owners. Big up to the Goat Saves Football. Big up Early Doors Football in the chat. Football Dad's Army. Big up Lee. Mine was 1989.
Oh, the Arsenal game. 2-0. Michael Thomas. It's up for grabs now.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was on ITV. Brian Moore.
Name me one good American owner in the world football. Well, yeah.
Well, I don't think that John W. Henry's done so bad for Liverpool.
There's a few question marks on the FSG. Yeah. Well, they supported our club, didn't they? Frankie Mustafa, we won't win the league. I'm 51 old school clock end. I don't round the manager or Edu. I'm sick and tired of our new age fans celebrating second place. It's mugging, embracing. I like West Ham transfers. Thank you, Frank you for being on as well. And
Cheers,
yeah,
Frankie.
we're quite pleased with the business we've done so far. And what I like about it is the fact that we ain't finished yet, by all accounts.
No.
The Goat Say Football says also to rip Chelsea old boys 1 year ago today. He passed Chelsea Ultra Minerals, FC Ultra, RIP COB, Cauliflower. Big up Anthony Herbert. This is my partner in crime, Rob, when we do the show on a Wednesday night. And obviously I've got the Man United guys as well. Saying shit, don't do it to your players. Peter saying Chelsea are short on keepers.
that is absolutely stunning, isn't it? 8 goalkeepers. Like, what? You got to sort of like put them into the first team? Are you going to put them out on pitch? What are you doing?
Well, it must be, I don't know, North or West London, because Arsenal, the amount of keepers they've signed as well. I don't make it. I don't know. I just don't understand. I believe now more with Kepa as well as others. Calafiori, the Adams King, apparently.
Okay.
Most fans are starting to see the real side of our board. It's good to see 21 years. I'll say no more. Fulkrug, great signing, great price. Steiden, I think that's our best signing. Throughout this last couple of seasons is Steiden.
Yeah, I think he will be. I mean, if you look at Fulkrug's record, he averages a goal every 3 games in club football. I mean, his record in international football is astonishing. I think it's 13 in 20. It's like, what?
Yes.
I mean, if we can play to his strengths, I mean, you think about some of the sort of crossing ability that we're going to have possibly, and he's going to be able to feed. I mean, he's not just a sort of like a target man. He's a bit more than that. But I mean, if he can come in and say he gets us 14, 15 Premier League goals, that's huge.
Absolutely. I mean, if we can get that out of, as you said, a 31-year-old, I'll be happy as Larry.
Yeah.
Peter Chelms was saying, imagine Prime Cotty and McAvenny in our current team.
Oof.
Yeah.
The only thing in the modern football, though, Peter, just to counter with that, is unfortunately the modern coach doesn't tend to play with 2 strikers. So here's a little. I'm just being really mischievous here. If those 2 were to exist in the current West Ham team, in the current setup where we're only going to play 1 dedicated striker, which one of those 2 plays?
Yeah,
that's an interesting one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the modern manager would play both of them.
Well, if it was Moyes, we know that's definitely not going to be the case. Big up Deal Boy Gunner TV. What's the crack, Tony? All good, mate. Hope you are as well. Good seeing you on your deal. Been a long time. I was saying, 25 million, no thanks. We'll take a loan. Lovely, moving on. It just come through that apparently, again, Arsenal are doing the talks with this Morello fella, but I don't know. Nothing's going on. Frankie saying, West Ham versus Villa, 5-goal thriller will be 3-2, but to who could go either way.
Yeah, but they've done some great business as well. Same
Absolutely.
as us. Yeah, it'll be a tough game. Make no mistake.
Peter saying lowest point for me was when we was robbed at Wembley by a shocking ref decision in 1981 League Cup final.
Wasn't that? Was it Sammy Lee was in an offside position? It was someone. I think it was Sammy Lee, and the goal stood. And it was one of, I mean, John Lyall, everybody says he was a lovely, lovely man and all the rest of it. And yet he was incandescent with rage at the end of that one. Absolutely furious.
I mean, for me, the one, I'm trying to remember what the year was now, when we played Nottingham Forest in the semi-final at the Villa Ground, 91. I mean, when Keith Hackett sent off Tony Gow. I mean, I was 20 foot away from Galley when it happened, and it's like, no way. But the one thing you won't take away from that, even though we were stuffed 4-0, the fact that we droned out Nottingham Forest fans, that's another one you take to the grave.
I always remember, I've still got that, I remember I was watching it at home. I actually remember the day really clearly because literally as that game was about to kick off, in 1991, and any year that ends in a 1, the census takes place. And I always remember, as that game was about to kick off, there was ding dong at the door. My old man, who's, bless him, is not the most patient of people, and especially not when we're about to kick off in an FA Cup semi-final. He flew to the door. There's 2 old grannies standing there with this piece of paper. Oh, hello, we've got the census. Give me that. And that was that. And I remember, obviously, Gailey getting dismissed, the first player to get red carded for the, quotes, professional foul.
Yeah.
Getting to 0-0 at half-time, 10 men. And then, obviously, Forest, who were a top-tier team, we was in the second tier at the time.
Yeah.
We just were overwhelmed in the second half. But you reference it. I mean, if anyone wants to know what support we can generate, and I know it's a different sort of era now that we're in, but just go and look at that game. Jesus Christ, it was we're 4-0 down, for Christ's sakes, and all you can see are claret and blue people jumping up and down, clapping. Billy Bond's Claret and Blue Army. You're like,
yeah.
what is going on? It's like you do know you're 4-0 down in a cup semi-final and down to 10 men, don't you? Yeah, no, it's fine. Don't worry. We're just going to sort of have a good time here, Hey!
Exactly, that's it. Yeah, the atmosphere was just electric, and yeah, I'll never forget that moment. I must admit, never forget. Big up, Budgie. Afternoon, everyone. Hi, Tony. Hi, Rob. Good to see you, mate. Just quickly catch up on some of these here. Frankie's saying, love West Ham back in the day, Upton Park on a Wednesday night, having murders getting home. Sorry, Tony, mate. Just talking to who you love the banter. Aguna, anytime, mate. Coming your wines this season, absolutely, mate.
Always the banter. It's never overly serious.
No, of course. Look, Bargav knows, and he's American. Fun times at the Carpenters.
Always.
Afternoon, Mama Flossie. Good seeing you. Hope you're all well.
Evening.
Can't stand Spurs, Chelsea, Millwall. Respect to West Ham. Thank you, Frankie. Appreciate that.
An Arsenal fan saying they can't stand Spurs. That's a surprise. I thought you were so close.
Usually asking Budgie if he's on tonight. So he is. Big up to Jez, Arsenal history and more. Good to see you. Hi, Tony, Rob, and the chat.
Evening.
Budgie saying the day just got better. I'm Mama. Hope you're well, sweetheart. Good. Yes, usually.
No, you silver-tongued devil.
Isn't he?
He's terrible. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
If he is there, Rob, he's got a smile on his face. You saying that, he's got a smile on his face.
Oh, yeah. He's roaring with laughter in.
Let's just quickly catch up on some of these, and I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. Iggy goes, Pop. Good to see you. And he's doing well. Afternoon, Matt. Matt Foster was strengthening the positions that needed strengthening, which is what we needed. Yeah, I agree on that. I'm glad that we've actually kind of strengthened the defence, because I think that was the concern the last couple of weeks. But now we've got that over the line.
I think I'd still like to see a left back, because I think that I'm not convinced that Emerson is going to really be pushed by Aaron Cresswell and Oliver Scholes as his backups.
No. Yeah.
And so my concern there is that if Emerson knows that the people that are his understudies aren't really up to the mark, and in the case of Scholes, I'm not saying he won't be, but I'm not quite sure he could be relied upon game on game if Emerson got injured or suspended for any length of time. So it's one of those where I think I don't ever think it's a good thing where a player knows that no matter what, they're going to get picked.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because
too comfortable.
They're not exactly. They're not going to sort of be, I've got to be on my toes here. Do you know what I mean? I've got to show the best version of myself, because if I have a bad game, the guy that's on the bench, he's breathing down my neck. If I slip up in my standards, he takes my place the next week.
Yeah,
so I don't ever think that's a good dynamic.
Well, we've still got a while to go, so you never know. We might hopefully fill in that one there. Frankie's saying Kevin Campbell's funeral today. God rest his soul. Rest in peace. Budgie's on at 10 o'clock unless Kieran is delayed. And they were just saying hello to each other, which is good. We can catch up on that.
I'm going to clash with him then.
Peter's saying Premier's much tougher than the Bundesliga. He's not going to get those numbers. Igigo Pop says, do Arsenal actually believe they'll get 25 million for Eddie and Ketia? Well, who is it now? Bournemouth is the next up club going for.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? You know, people turn around and say, is he worth X amount? It's like, look, he's worth whatever the buying club are prepared to pay, and that's whether it's more than what you expect or less. We'll wait and see. I don't personally think he's worth that, but if Bournemouth come in and say, yeah, we'll give you 25 million quid, guess what? He's worth 25 million quid.
Well, before I'm going to go on to the next comment there, I just want to kind of bring this up because I know, Walsh, we've mentioned it quite a few times, but for those that are not aware, the biggest problem we've got at the moment is the concessions at West Ham, and there is a petition. So as you can see on there, the email address, the website address is on there. If you click on that and then sign the petition, just make sure that what you do is check your emails to actually highlight that, and it will then confirm that you've actually submitted your thing. At the moment, it stands at 16,534. They're looking to get to £25,000. So basically what it's all about is it's the case of, doesn't matter if you're under 21s, you're RAP, everyone's going to be paying the same price, which is in certain respects a rip-off to the working man, as it says there. You know, as you can see, the old boy with his grandchild, it wasn't just a club son, it was a way of life. And unfortunately, it's not just at West Ham this is going to be affecting. This is going to be at several clubs. So be warned, Arsenal fans and all the others that are in here. This could be coming to your club as well.
Yeah, if you think this doesn't affect you guys, whether you're a West Ham fan or whether you're not, at some point, exactly as Tony says, this will come in your direction. If it's allowed to happen, and it has happened at Wolves, although I believe they've kind of reined back on what they originally proposed. They're looking to try and bring it in, and they have actually implemented it at West Ham, and hopefully we're going to push back. But if any of you guys are looking at this and thinking it doesn't affect me because I haven't got kids or I haven't got elderly relatives or I don't support West Ham or any of the above, rest assured, if it happens at West Ham, it will happen to your club. It will affect you at some point in time. So I know whether you guys watching are West Ham fans or not, I would urge you, please go to that petition. Please sign it. Put as much pressure on the owners as possible, because at the end of the day, this is a working class sport, and the prices that people are being asked to spend, they are absolutely criminal. Absolutely criminal.
Absolutely. I mean, as you know, afternoon to Ricky Jordan. Our first 3 home games are a sellout without a single concession. How can the boycott gang compete with that, and how?
Very good question, and one that I probably don't have the answer to in the here and now. I would probably need, but you know, something needs to happen, Ricky. I mean, fundamentally, it's with every passing year, this game of ours, and as I say, is at its core, it's a working class sport. It is being dragged kicking and screaming away from its roots, and it can't be allowed to happen like this, you know. And at the end of the day, and I've always said it, it's all very well whilst we're a Premier League team, okay, and any club that exists in the Premier League, you know, it's all very well and good whilst you're in a Premier League team, because you can get anyone going, because everybody wants to go to a Premier League game, right? And that's whether you're a West Ham fan. You know, I've seen it many times, and I'm sure people in the live chat and yourself, Tony, if you go sort of on a regular basis, you will go to the ground, you will go to London Stadium, and you will see people who instantly, you know, are not West Ham fans. You just know, right? They're tourists. Okay, you know, they've paid their money and all the rest of it, and if they don't cause any problems, then okay, what can you say? But quite honestly, if you get relegated and you've got a 62,500 stadium, and now you're playing Doncaster Rovers on a Thursday in November, pissing down with rain, freezing cold, wind howling, and you're watching your team struggle to a 0-0 draw. Do you honestly think they're going to fill that stadium? They're not. Honestly, we need to do something. Fans need to come together of all persuasions, because with every year that goes past, this is just getting dragged away from its roots. Honestly, I'm really passionate about this.
Yeah, rightly so. And hopefully, I think the way you look at it there, Ricky, I'll just go back to Ricky's comment. I think the way you look at it, Ricky, as long as the petition is out there and we can make it vocal, not just like in on West Ham channels but just to get it out there vocally, and that, then there's a chance that we'll see more people signing that, and hopefully it'll make an impact. But yes, it's a great question, and it is an hard one to answer. But I think that's the only way we do it: promote it as best as possible, and hopefully we get more people kind of getting on board. Especially if you can let other clubs know that or other fans that belong to other clubs, that it could actually come to them as well.
I think there are genuinely fans out there that don't even know. I mean, Nicky Hawkins from West Ham Fan TV went to the ground. He wasn't attending the game, but he went to the ground, and he's talking to Paul Colborne of Hammond United, and he turned around and said that there were genuinely people that he would be talking to about the protest, and they'd be like, "Protest? What are you on about?" They had no clue.
Yeah,
they had no clue. So it's all about raising awareness and making sure that we're all as one. And as I say, not just West Ham fans. It's really important. This is the people's game. This is our national sport, and it will eventually be that only an elite clutch of people will be able to go, because the with every year that goes past, mate, I've got to be honest, it's becoming more and more difficult for me. And I without wishing to come across as boastful or anything, I earn a decent living, but with every year that passes and just the above inflation increases, at some point you just got to go, this is ridiculous. Something's got to give.
Yeah, there's a big given it. Yeah, absolutely. I was saying to my philosophy, thank you. Yeah, Jez, great show you did last night. I must admit, it was really a good show. Wan-Bissaka signing for United. I'm pleased with the deal. For considering what United paid so many seasons back, 50 million, and we get him for 15. And okay, it's a lengthy contract, but even still, we're still getting a class player. I mean, Rob, do you agree on something like that, or
100%? Yeah, I think he's outstanding defender. I know people point at his deficiencies in an attacking aspect, and I take their point. However, I'm a little bit old school in that I kind of want my defenders to be able to defend, and if they can attack, then that's an added bonus. If you had a fullback that was great going forwards, and let's reference, and I'm not trying to dig him out, Ryan Fredericks was a fantastic right fullback going forwards. Defensively, not so much.
No, that's the truth. Evening, Luke. How are you keeping well? Basil Hammer Brush says, "Oh, taking Kitty at West Ham, no joke."
Okay.
And just gone to Frankie's one there. Ray Stewart, Julian Dix, Alan Devonshire, Alvin Martin, Phil Parks, Tony Parks. Great players. Great show, fellas. Good luck for the season. Same for you as well, Frankie. I hope it goes well for the Arsenal boys as well.
Likewise.
So, question for you now, Rob, this one. If you could become the owner of West Ham, what would you do and why?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Bloody hell. If I ever was the owner of West Ham, they must be hard up for a few bob. Jesus. Okay. Let's pretend I'm Elon Musk, right? I've got his sort of his financial firepower. First thing I'm doing is I'm finding a way to build a new ground, or buy the ground that we've got and repurpose it and make it a football stadium, whatever. The point I would be looking at sort of drill home first would be purpose-built football stadium somewhere in the East London / Essex corridor, that sort of vicinity. For me, that would be the first thing, because I think that most fans, most proper old school fans especially, look at the London Stadium and go, yeah, it's a world-class stadium for athletics. We've got it on a peppercorn rent, no problem. And it's better than it was, but it never was, never shall be a football stadium.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, obviously, great show you did last night. And when you look at that, I mean, I know I know some insight into it itself. That between West Ham and Newham Council, they did actually buy the ground, but because obviously good old Daniel Levy not getting his way with Haringey Council,
Yeah.
Barry Hearn moaning that we should be in the stadium because we're the closest to it, etc.
Yeah.
That's why, as you said, plus Mr. Khan doing his usual. We are where we are with the ground, but yeah, I agree with you. I think the original plans with Newham Council was to actually kind of redevelop it and make it more into a stadium rather than into a running track. But
for me, the person that I hold, I won't say blame. I think that's probably the wrong word. Culpable. Person I hold culpable is Lord Coe, because there was all this guff when they had the bid and all the rest of it about we will have an athletics legacy. All very noble words. The problem is we are not an athletics mad nation. We went mad for it in 2012. And we obviously, I'm sure you sat there and people in live chat sat there during the Olympics this year that's just finished and would watch it and would enjoy it. And great. Okay, fine. Not a problem. But we are not an athletics nation. You build an athletic stadium and you just have athletics in it. Guess what? It is going to sit there and it is going to rot. And what did they do? They started to build an athletic stadium. And then partway through the build, they went, there's a Premier League club down the road, isn't there? Maybe we should look to get them involved in this, mate. Honestly, it's too late. You've already started the build. You've already constructed it. You've done this. You've done that. You now have got this problem where you're trying to put shoehorn football into an athletic stadium. What they needed to do was there needed to be some joined up thinking right at the top of the bid process and all the rest of it. And that stadium needed to be like Stadium Australia in Sydney for the 2000 Olympics, where there was literally a button that's pressed somewhere in a room in the stadium. And when the button's pressed, the stands come out and reveals there is the athletics track. That's great. You can use it for athletics. You can use it for concerts, you can use it for this. You then press a button. The stands then come in. And, oh, look, now it's sort of configured for football, for rugby union, for rugby league, test cricket, whatever, right? We didn't do that. And we've ended up in this situation where, and obviously I've got two hats, you've got two hats, because on the one hand, we're West Ham fans. So the fact we've got it on a peppercorn rent, brilliant, fantastic. The club's on a winner. But we're also taxpayers. And that stadium is losing, I believe the Conservative estimate is £15 million per year, which the British taxpayer, you and me and everybody in the live chat is a British taxpayer. We are paying for that. It's hemorrhaging money hand over fist. So this deal that's currently being cobbled together by the powers that be, all because of an Olympic legacy, which is complete nonsense. It's honestly, mate, it's for the birds. Seriously.
Yeah, we need a new ground. I think you're right there. Peter saying, question: who has been your favourite West Ham player of all time? Mine has always been the one and only Billy Bonds.
Tony Cottee. My first favourite player. I mean, in terms of skill, I'm going to say Di Canio, with Payet a very close second. But as a player who was my favourite, Tony Cottee, in the first game I attended at Upton Park, scored 4 goals. And that was the game that is to this day our record victory, which was a 10-0 win against Bury, Milk Cup, second round, second leg, 25th of October, 1983. He scored 4 goals. I think he was 18 at the time. From that day on, he was my hero. I've been fortunate enough through obviously doing the YouTube and all the rest of it to have interviewed him on a live stream and to have met him face to face on one occasions. And he is a really nice guy. And, they say don't meet your heroes because, there's always the chance that you'll have them up on a pedestal, Tone. You'll have them as sort of like some paragon of virtue or whatever. And then you meet them and you go, Jesus Christ, he wasn't what I expected him. Tony Cottee was more than what I expected. Absolutely, such a nice guy, such a lovely, giving guy.
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked, Julian Dix, no nonsense, hard as nails, get stuck in, and obviously, being that I actually worked there a couple of seasons myself, dealt with him when he came back from his injury from Liverpool, and he had his ACL, the knee done. And the first game he got involved with, and I always like telling this story, when the coaches tour and I said to him, "These are under 15s, Dixie. Take your time, son." Yeah, no worries, boss. First challenge and that, this kid goes 360 up in the air and that, and all you from the sidelines, Dixie! Sorry, boys. Sorry, boys. Yeah, superb. Igigo Pop says, Moyes had the chance to sign Gyökeres from Coventry a year ago for under £20 million, but he changed his mind. There's a surprise. Arsenal are now interested in paying £85 million for him.
Yeah,
That sounds like sounds like an Alvarez. That's another one.
There's many players that we've sort of like run the rule over and gone, no, they're not good enough, or whatever, and they've ended up sort of like years down the track. You sort of, I mean, didn't we have? I'm pretty sure that we had Neymar that at 16 years of age we could have got a pittance, and you look and sort of go, well, that's the guy that 10 years or whatever it was later went for £195 million. You're like, Jesus Christ, and I think am I right in remembering, was Lewandowski on our radar at one point? I'm sure he was.
He is. I think he was the one as well. I mean, oh man, when you say it like that, it kind of makes you want to smack your head against the wall, because the chance we've had to get these players.
Yeah, I think all managers do, though. I think they're even the greatest managers will have someone that. I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson talks about one that got away, and the biggest regret that he never signed in his career. And you think about the players that he had all through down the years, even at sort of Aberdeen, let alone Manchester United. And of all the players that he was asked the question, which is the one that got away for you, and he didn't even sort of think about it. He went, Paul Gascoigne. And you think about that, it's like, yeah, there's always ones that get away, isn't there?
It's
even
true.
For the best of us.
That is very true. Ricky saying, poor Andy Irvine. Oh yeah, had the number 29 shirt for 4 days before it was whipped away. Now, according to the official site, he no longer has a number. Oh, poor lad.
I heard he had 39. I don't know who said that. I'm sure someone said it on a stream that I was on yesterday, and they said he's now number 39.
Even still, poor sod.
What can you do?
Yeah, Paul Brush. Good evening to Albie Claret and Blue. Good to see you as well. Thanks for coming on. Budgie says, my ears are on the top of my head. The smile is so wide.
I can picture it now, Budge.
Peter saying, great to see Marshall get a goal and an assist on his debut for Huddersfield last night.
Yeah, good to see.
Even there. Matt saying, I'd rather Fulkrug than Nketiah. I still think after the Villa game, we might make a move for Duran.
I agree.
Budgies, they're going to be rating the transfers, etc. tonight. We're hoping to have a next player with us. Should be good ones.
Is it who I think it is, Budge?
That's a big good.
I don't want to say who I think it is, but Budgie knows who I'll be thinking of.
Albie Claret Blue saying, question, even though neither have played pre-season, do you think Watkins or Duran will start against us on Saturday?
Duran, no chance.
That'd be Watkins, wouldn't it? I think
not a chance. He will never play for Villa again. I'm pretty convinced of that.
That's good. He loves a chat on the Wednesday night. Yeah. Good evening to you. Yeah, our usual show we've moved to tomorrow night. Normally have it at 8:30 tonight, but we've moved it to tomorrow night. Going to take West Ham Massive for the best part £100 for a Charles ticket.
It's a disgrace. And they've made the Aston Villa fixture Category A. I understand that they're a Champions League team, but behave.
Category A?
Yeah. Serious.
That's mad.
A couple of seasons ago, they were in the second tier.
That's exactly that. Yeah, look, Jez is saying Arsenal history more. It's been like that at Arsenal for the last 4 years.
Yeah, mate, it's disgusting.
Load of bullshit that is, yeah. That's a crazy promise. Kids, sorry, not football this week and got elite action. OAPs is just as badly treated. Yeah.
OAPs and disabled, Budge. Not just the OAPs, children, disabled, the lot, mate. They're all lumped in the same bracket.
Yeah,
They're all
exactly.
treated with contempt.
Evening, Daz. Hope we're keeping well. Big up, Tony. Do you think we'll win Sunday, City or Chelsea? Well, I think if you look at it, I'm still going to go. I'm not going to say City. I think if you look at it, they're more of an established thing. Whereas with this Mascalera, Mascarano, whatever you want to call him, as Rob said, he's only just come in. He's a nobody, and he's got Chelsea, and he's got to try and get that to gel against City. I don't think their pre-season wasn't good as well, if I remember rightly.
No, but pre-season, I'm not quite sure
Yeah,
it's really the indicator that it should be for the main event. I mean, you might remember, Tone, 85-86, our pre-season was horrific, yet we finished third. Our pre-season in 2010-2011 was absolutely, but don't think we lost a game, and then we got relegated under Avram Grant. So pre-season,
Well, I'll come to that question to you in a minute, Rob. I think you've already answered it. But you said, obviously, outside fans don't realise it, but the away fan tickets were hiked up 18% on top of the last season's prices. Jesus. Yeah, Sack Rusty B.
Oh, no.
Suck our dodgy DJ. Well, in certain respects, I can agree with that because it seems like he just does rinse and repeat because it's the same bloody song all the time.
Oh.
You know, we don't mind the massive one. But all the other ones are all the bloody same.
Oh, dear. He won't be happy.
Well, I'm just saying. If he's watching the net, my apologies.
As Russ has just unsubscribed.
Half-time topless darts. He does very well, though. You know, I like his enthusiasm, put it that way. Iggy goes, if I was the owner, I would make Sully and Brady use the fans' toilets.
Oh. Smells like King Kong's jockstrap.
Oh, man. Well, obviously, because you've never been around the East End back in the day, have you, Rob? Because obviously, I told this story once before. If you was near the docks, they used to have these cast iron toilets.
Okay.
And it was called the Iron Lung. So, but in the summertime, when the heat was on top of it, kind of thing, and the wind was blowing a certain way, you smelt it for miles. Absolutely
brilliant.
Miles.
Wonderful.
Yes, very nice. Evening Pepsi Pack. If I was West Ham owner, I would sell discounted first half tickets only to Hammers fans when they play Arsenal at home, but it'll be over by after.
There's no need for that. I mean, it might be true, but no need for it. Bloody hell. Oh, kick someone when they're down, why don't you?
Chat, brilliant people. Iggy, if I was the owner, I would ban Spuds fans.
I know, we want to take their money off of them.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think of it like that. Frankie saying, great point about the stadium. You need somewhere nearer to your roots.
Yep.
Yeah, Jeff Durst is Jersey's one. Iggy goes Pop Brooking, Mr. West Ham. Yeah. Yeah. Marco Boogers. Boogers.
Like, all right, he went mad and ended up going in the caravan, but that challenge on Gary Neville, beautiful. Thing of beauty.
I was at that game as well. I'm never.
Was you?
Yeah. All you see was you could just see the red mist in his eyes. Just come back.
I'm having you
holding over, and the fact he kind of leapt up like Billy the Fish. He's about 6 foot up in the air and come down full belt near enough. Oh man. When we won the league at Anfield, not long after, there was a book signing in Wolves Islington, and Bobby Moore was there. I'm sure it's part of a weekend football station. Could have been TalkSport.
Yeah, it would have been. No, not TalkSport. It was Capital Gold with Jonathan Pearce.
Martin Peters, so good in midfield. No one better than Till Bowen. Brilliant. Yeah, great call there, Pudge. Matt saying, I want Gyökeres, but if I knew it would have worked under Moyes, just Skamaka and Haller didn't. Yeah, 2 opportunities, Moyes completely ballsed up there.
The thing is, though, with that, I mean, I can understand Haller because he was brought in by Pellegrini, so he wasn't his player. I kind of understand that. But Skamaka, well, Moyes brought him in, so what the hell happened there?
I think if you look at it for me, and I've said it on a few shows, it's the case of I don't think you play to their strengths. I know you don't always build a team around one player, but if you look at it, if someone's banging in the goals like they were previously, then surely you've got to make some kind of adaptations to accommodate them type of players. Because look, they moved on, Rob. and they both
Still
scored goals for fun.
Yeah.
Right.
But the thing is, in the case of Scamacca, well, Moyes would have seen him play for Sassuolo in Serie A. He would have seen the service he was getting. He could see what he's thrived on, what he wasn't so good at. He's brought him in and then asked him to play in a team that was set up in a completely different fashion. And then we're surprised when we lose a barrel load of money on the deal. He goes to Atalanta. Oh, look, they won the Europa League. Yeah, because he was playing up top and the team was playing to his strengths.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rocket science. I never understood that.
We were supposed to be on the brink of signing Cole Palmer, and then it fell through. Well, another one missed. The usual saying as well. True story. West Ham had Kenny Dalglish on the books at one time.
That is true.
Wow.
That is very correct.
Yeah, it would have been moist. That's I want to know on what planet Moist thought Hugo was a good idea.
I'd like to know what he was smoking. Although Charlie Walsh rated him. Charlie Walsh said he was a good player, but
yeah, it's true. He was as well. Frankie's saying, I don't get players like Julian Dix anymore. The Stevie Bowles who would have won through brick walls. We was talking about the other one Sunday. It's you don't get the same colour of a player, do you now?
I think the problem is though that the game has moved on, not necessarily in the direction that I'm happy with, but it's moved in the direction it has, and unfortunately, physical contact has been kind of ironed out of the game. You touch someone and it's a free kick. I mean, not every time a ball hits hand is it handball. I mean, this is why you've now got defenders that are sort of hands behind their back and all that because they're shit scared of giving away a penalty. And it's like, this is, offsides and all these other things. And real hard men like the Julian Dixes, the Steve Bowles, the Tony Adamses, the Ron Yateses. I know these names of old. I never saw them play, but Tommy Smith, Liverpool, those sort of like guys that are made out of granite, and now they're made out of popcorn. Jesus Christ,
it's true. Oh, usually look at that one there, Danny the Playboy. Do you remember?
Oh that yeah. Mind you, he scored at White Hart Lane, so
all's forgiven. That was striking if all goes okay at Gatesy. Watkins will play, no doubt. Jerome will be socking in the stands.
He'll be in the back, sort of like his agent will be talking to Stighton. So I reckon it'll get done after the game, maybe, but it'll get done.
Matt's also saying, don't forget Hugo Porfirio. If I can say that name right, usual suspect. Good evening to Jason Burshett. First time watching, lads. Thanks for coming on, enjoying it. Very happy with Guido coming in, a solid player. My opinion is we're going to try and get Fofana. Maybe United will bid 80 million for Alvarez. I hope not, but too many DMs.
I think that Alvarez is going to stick around for a bit longer.
Yeah. I think competition is good, especially the fact that, now they've got Guido in as well, and they've obviously that relation they've had on the pitch. So that could work in our favour in that respects.
Yeah. I think also what's probably going to help us in a strange way is the fact that Alvarez is injured.
Yes.
Are they going to buy a player that's still got an injury?
No, this is true. Matt saying, how do Chelsea keep 40-plus players happy? You don't.
No. No, you don't. You've got a lot of people that are disappointed and hate your guts.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, and also make sure, obviously, share a like and subscribe also to Rob's channel, West Ham Massive. I will put up a shot of that shortly. And obviously the other people that have got channels as well. Matt saying, one of my favourite players, the usual suspect. Frankie's saying, I'm really surprised any transfer window, there is no mention of Bowen. He's a top 4 player. He is, Frankie, but then, of course, you've got to remember his main agent is his father-in-law, and no one's going to speak to Danny Dyer because they're afraid of where they end up because, obviously, not being funny, on the M25, they're just doing the new extension from the A3 and over the A12. They don't want to end up in the concrete, do they, really? So
No.
Don't want to deal with men like that.
7-year contract. So
7-year contract as well.
He would cost an absolute bomb.
Yeah. Frank Liverpool, Newcastle keep sniffing around. Yeah, that's true. We always hear their names mentioned. Matt saying he's not for sale. That's why, Frank, unless you've got 100 million plus down the back of your sofa.
I'm never going to turn around and say a player's not for sale. That's one thing I won't do because I think everybody has their price. I mean, I don't actively ever want Bowen to go. But what I will say is if a team came in with an amount of money where you went, we cannot turn that down. Let's just pluck a figure out of the air. Let's say Newcastle came in and went 150 million. He's gone.
Of course.
I love him, but he's gone. He's no longer a West Ham player. Case closed.
Yeah.
He's our captain. He scored the goal in Prague, but you can't turn that down. I'm not saying we get it, but I'm just hypothetically, everybody's got their price.
Of course. Mama Floss is saying, I think Newcastle have backed away. So, Ricky Jordan saying, breaking news, some have always been classified as a homegrown player, so we can now sell a Deadwood English player for a forward replacement.
Danny Ings?
Mama Floss says, I was reading the other day the club advised on another player, but you never know how true it is usual. Won't happen. Peter's saying, take out a smoke and crushed up Werther's originals for his side. Fresh mate, you're right there. Good evening to Hendon Gooner. Good to see you as well. Good evening, Tony, Early Doors Football TV. Rob and all in the chat and watching. Just a quick eye as off to the gym shortly. Have a great show. Thanks, mate. Thanks for popping yourself in. Appreciate that. Oh, look at that one. Mad Dog in midfield. Martin Allen.
Do you know where he got the nickname?
I did hear about it years ago, but I'm going years ago, so you have to fill me in, Rob.
I don't know if it was a training ground match or whether it was actually a match that was played early in his career at West Ham, and one of the players turned around and said to him that he was frothing at the mouth. You've got a load of froth around your mouth. You look like a mad dog. That was it.
Done.
That was it. That's his nickname. Done.
Wow. They just say to each other. Let me find another question for you, because obviously we can get on there. So this one for you. If you had the chance to talk to any player or manager, what main question would you ask them?
Okay. I'll deal with both of them. So if I had the chance to talk to any player, right? Okay. Let me ask: is this dead or alive?
It could be anything you want, dead or alive.
I think I'd love to speak to the late Bobby Moore and just ask him, how did it feel to lift the World Cup for England? How did it feel to receive the Jules Rimet trophy from the Queen, turn around, look at 100,000 people jumping up and down, you've just won the World Cup, you lift it up, the roar. How did it feel in that exact moment?
Oh, mate, great player.
Manager, I'll tell you what, and manager, I'd love to have the opportunity to talk to Sir Alex Ferguson and just say to him, what kept you at that level? How did you retain that hunger to rebuild Manchester United team time and time and time and time again? He reinvented that team. He freshened it up every time. He'd adapt. They had their little lulls from time to time, but he'd always find a way to come back. And what was it? What was it that drove you? You'd won multiple FA Cups, multiple League Cups, multiple this, multiple that, and yet you still came back for more. What drove you? You didn't need to. You had money in the bank. You'd proved what you'd done, yet you still kept chipping away. What was it that drove you onto that?
Cool. Yeah, great answers there, Rob. Great. Yeah, I love them. That's two brilliant people. Who said more. Yeah, I mean, for me, when it comes to player and manager, what I've already alluded to before is, for me, player or an injured player that become injured was John Lyle, and the manager would have been Ron Greenwood, because those two, Ron Greenwood and John Lyle, sat in the motor for hours, just literally talking football. And I'll just have to be in the back seat to listen to that conversation, knowing how what inspired them to make West Ham play they were back in the day. That in itself,
Master
I think,
and the Apprentice.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that in itself, wow. Imagine that kind of conversation. Peter's got a question for you.
Go for it.
So this is an easy one. Well, have they changed any of the VAR rules for this season? So I think they've adopted what they're doing from the Euros. I think it's coming over.
What, that semi-automated offside malarkey?
Yeah, because I think what they're doing, they're giving more. But if I kind of, and this is off the top of my head, don't quote me on this as well.
Yeah.
But I think what they're doing, they're being more benefit the doubt.
Okay.
With the striker and the defender, but they're supposed to actually this time it will go more clearly up on the screens what these decision, and you'll probably see some little replay of it, I think, as well. And they've finally got enough money from the GoFundMe page to buy one of those Oxford mathematics kits and can actually draw some decent lines so you can actually see if a player's offside or not. But I think other than that, they're going down that route. But unfortunately, it's still the English officials that's going to be running it. And
so we're not going to have the wonky lines anymore?
Probably not, unless they sneeze. But, that's about it, I'd say. But we'll see. Frankie's gone on here. West Ham, Aston Villa, tidy squad. What's your opinion on the new manager? And would you have had someone else?
On what, West Ham's new manager or
West Ham's, I'd say, on that one.
Again, it's something that I will probably need to really watch us play sort of half a dozen competitive games. In pre-season, I've been maybe not impressed. Impressed is probably the wrong word because, again, I sort of factor in it's pre-season. But I have been heartened by what I've seen him trying to do, the way that he's tried to get the team playing, which is obviously with a little bit more footballing, the sort of type of football that I would like to see, and I think most West Ham fans would like to see, instead of this sort of handbrake on malarkey. So, yeah, I think we've in theory got a good manager. You do not manage Real Madrid, and you do not manage Spain, and you do not manage Sevilla and win them a Europa League title into the bargain if you haven't got something about yourself. We've got ourselves in, a coach who has an outstanding pedigree, and he's obviously done it in the Premier League. That's the thing. The only thing that I do slightly sort of think, okay, let's see how we go, is that we have been here before. We have had a manager before who had a track record in the Premier League, who'd managed Real Madrid, and his name was Manuel Pellegrini. So let's wait and see.
Yeah, because of that, man, I stopped my season ticket. That man, Pellegrini, I stopped my season ticket after watching. Nah. I'd rather see paint dry when he was in charge.
Brought in Roberto. Well done. Well done. Fantastic. Great. And he wanted to make him his number one by all accounts.
Wow. That in itself is
crazy, isn't
Jesus. Henry's saying, way to go on 400 subs. Oh, thank you, Henry. I've got to 400 subs. No, thank you. And
well done.
To kind of blow his trumpet, but this man next to me, and that he's also been helpful because he has promoted me on his channel as well, which I'm, grateful for that as well. But yeah, it's as Rob knows, and most people that do a channel on that, it's not easy work. We have to put some, effort into this. And no, it's good. Thank you very much. And thank you, Henry, for letting us know that.
Well done.
Thank you, Rob. Wonderful question, Tony. Yeah, we'd like to ask some of these questions. Hendon Guna, well, Arsenal have mad dog Reece Nelson. Got to fine 3,000 for pleading guilty to failing to control his dog in a public area. Wow.
What a wally. I wouldn't mind it. It was only a chihuahua.
Yeah, but you see how quickly they can jump up, though.
Yeah, you bite your ankles. That's not good.
Frankie's saying, this is a refreshing show. My 15-year-old puts on AFTV and I've banned him from YouTube. I'm trying to educate him that the Arsenal were a class club. They were a class club. And I think that sentence was, Yeah, a forgotten word, unfortunately, with some of your lot. So there. Jeez, Rob, that question for Bobby Moore put a huge lump in my throat.
Sorry,
Budgie, yeah,
Budge.
no, it's true though, and it is true. I mean, when you look at it, you don't forget your own. As you said, the West Ham family. Big up to the chat, as you're saying. Good day, saying hello to each other. Hit the likes, people. It's a great show. Thanks, Frankie. Glad you're enjoying it.
Appreciate it.
And another of my old friends. Good evening, Dave. How you doing, old school gunner? All right, Tony. Smash the likes and subscribe to the man, and also the man next to me as well. Please don't forget him as well. My brother from another mother, by all accounts.
I'll say the only thing missing was the goatee, wasn't it?
Yeah. Good to see you on this end. Hope all calling down. Yeah, the hell. The last couple of days it's been quite humid is the word.
Sweaty Betty.
Oh yeah. Ask Bobby Moore, what did he think of Moisball?
I don't think he'd have been a fan, Iggy. I really don't think he'd have been a fan. But the thing is that he'd have probably been too much of a gentleman to actually let you know. But I think we could rest assured that he'd have, in his heart of hearts, he'd have been like, "This ain't a bit of me."
That's for sure. I agree on that one. Old school kind of saying, great to see your channel doing so well. Thanks, Dave. And you remember you helped out from the beginning as well, mate. So big shout out to you as well. Budgie saying, question for both of you. What sporting personality would you like to have a 60-minute interview? I'll tell you mine soon. As you're the guest, Rob, I'll let you go first.
Okay, I'll go one no longer with us and one that is. And I'll go the one that's no longer with us, Muhammad Ali.
Oh.
I'll go Muhammad Ali. The one that's still with us, and it kind of feeds into what I said earlier about Bobby Moore. I'd like to talk to Sir Geoff Hurst, and again ask him, how did it feel to be, to score the first hat trick in a World Cup final? And until Mbappe did it the other year, he was the only guy in history to have done that. Although the difference being that Sir Geoff actually did it in a winning effort, Mbappe didn't. So he's still got that little thing that just takes him a little bit. Okay, Mbappe, you got your hat trick, that's great, but you didn't help your team win. Sir Geoff did. So I'll still put his above that for me.
So for my ones, I mean the one as a live person would be the boxer Michael Watson.
Great shout.
Such an agile, technically gifted boxer, and cutting his prime. When we know full well in the first fight that he actually won that, but the WBO was always in favour of Eubank at all times. So that would be my choice for the live. And I suppose if you look at it, being as a West Ham person, and I'm probably going to muddle his name. The younger, I forgot his bloody first name as well. It's just got in my head. Tom Beatty's, died from cancer.
Dylan.
That's his road to coming into West Ham, how he saw his career developing, and then of course, the news and the devastating news and how it to the last day kind of thing. So they're the two players I think I would, two sporting personalities I'd ask questions to.
Good choices.
So let's just kind of catch up on the chat, and then I'm going to ask you some other ones.
That's cool, mate.
Henry Ray, he's saying there, nice one here, Ross. We'll hear the refs talking to VAR, Tony. Oh, yes, the other one as well. Yes, you hear. That's right.
They
yes,
said that the other year, though, didn't they, Tone? I'm sure they said it last year or the year before, and they said, "Oh, you're going to hear the sort of like the dialogue between." Well, I don't remember hearing any dialogue other than the time that there was the cock-up that happened at the Tottenham Stadium between Tottenham and Liverpool. Other than that, I don't remember hearing any dialogue, and yet they definitely did say, "Oh, yeah, we're going to just, what's the problem? What are you trying to hide?"
True. Well, we've seen some of the replays, haven't we? How bad they kind of ballsed up. Matt Foster's saying, "See, Shaqiri is a free agent, worth a pump, maybe cover for Pac-Man."
How old is he now? It's got to be what, 33.
Something like that. It's got to be, isn't
Tell you what, I'm going to have a look. I mean, look, he was once upon a time. I thought he was a fantastic player, but I'm not too sure now. I'm pretty sure he's probably past his prime. Let me have a look.
Yeah, probably.
32.
32.
32. I guess it all hinges on finances, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if it was on, say, a pay-as-you-play deal, and it was maybe a year's contract with an option for a second, depending upon his output, maybe. And if he was happy to be a bench, an impact player, possibly. But
Yeah.
I'm not too sure it'd be something I'd actively seek out myself.
I don't think he'd fit in, though, with all what's going on at the moment. I think that's the problem as well.
I think he's a bit of an ego player as well. I'm not too sure he would take being a bench player.
No. Matt saying Roberto was the worst West Ham goalie in history. God,
yeah.
He
took that accolade from Alan McKnight. and he dropped it.
Yeah, good hold on to it. Henry, are you doing a prediction show, Tony? Yes, we'll be doing it tomorrow on the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly show tomorrow night. Henry, we'll be doing it on there. Frankie, there's no patience in football. It's all wanting it here and now. Arteta has had 5 seasons. Are we a big club because our fans say so? Never won a Champions League, spent loads of dough and falling short. I think if you look at them, Frankie, I think the last couple of seasons, I wouldn't say there's been a massive improvement, but you've seen an improvement in the squad. But I've always alluded to you're short of 2 players that will win you the title. And I think that's the problem you're having at the moment. If you can get that over the line, then, was it 21, nearly 22 years of hurt will come be a long forgotten memory. Eros, well, the other 2 will be available for pick at St Maurice and James's Park, 3:30 UK time. Mum Flossie, Beagle and Terry Mix, don't let this smokes for you. Wow. Saying about the temperature. Matt saying, we won games playing Moyes Ball 2.0, but 1.0 was dreadful. Frankie saying, I watched a podcast with Bobby Zamora, and I remember being at the game when Sol Campbell slipped off. It's still a great story.
Yeah, he disappeared at half time, didn't he? I think, am I right in saying, was that around a time, I think his father had passed away or something like that? I think he had some personal stuff going on.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, because he was a New Ham lad as well.
Yes. Yeah, he was.
Budgie saying, my interview would be Pierluigi Collina. He's been a part of more World Cups than any living person.
Good shout.
Yeah. And a great shout here from Mama Flossie as well. Johan Cruyff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mama.
Do you know the thing about the 1974 World Cup? About what his the slight alteration they had to make to his shirt? You never seen that?
No.
Go back and have a look at footage of the 74 World Cup final. Look very carefully at his shirt and look very carefully at the shirt of his teammates, and you will see quite a difference, because he had a contract with Puma, which was obviously the arch rival of Adidas, who were the shirt providers of the Dutch national team at that time. And I can't remember if it was they had an extra stripe or a stripe missing. Basically, they made his shirt so that it didn't basically have the 3 stripes of Adidas, because he had an exclusive contract with Puma. Wow. Just to use this piece of information.
But it just shows back in the day then, that's the things they would do. Wow. Yeah. Frankie saying, what a great shout, Michael Watson. I was there at Finsbury Park when he beat
Ben. He beat Nigel Benn, yeah.
ICF all over the gaff. Plus, I was at White Hart Lane. He's a great fella. Was from my way. Fun enough, Nigel Benn lived 3 blocks away from where I was.
Well, then you'd have been brought up round about where my missus is from then, because my missus was brought up in the same neck of the woods, Ilford.
Oh, yeah, because I'm East Ham.
Yep.
So, yeah, literally a stone's throw from Ilford itself. But, yeah, when Ben used to come in, coming from the Barking Road, I mean, we was 3/4 of the length of the road, but you could hear him coming from the top of Barking Road all the way down to his turn, to his ass.
Yeah. Well, the knockout with just sort of like to touch on the Finsbury Park where Michael Watson beat Nigel Benn. that was the strangest knockout. It wasn't like it was like a sort of an uppercut or a a punch that you thought, Jesus Christ, that was an absolute pile driver. It was a jab.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But he was a fantastic boxer, Michael Watson. He was very unlucky. I remember he had a world title fight against Mike McCallum, and he lost, I think, round 11. I think he was stopped. And then obviously he had the 2 fights against Chris Eubank. The first fight was the result was highly debated. You referenced it earlier.
Mhm.
Fight, I don't think even Chris Eubank says he beat me all ends up. He absolutely turned me inside out.
Absolutely.
But just some way, somehow, I think it was the 11th round, Eubank got put on his ass. He got up and then he caught Michael Watson with a shot just before the round ended, and then obviously came out for the last round, and what happened. And it's one of those things that can happen in boxing, I'm afraid.
No, exactly. It's true. Bear with me, because I want to put this up at the moment, just to kind of put you out there, Rob. Guys, I'm going to put this up, and I'm going to put it up now, but also put it up near the end as well. And I will put obviously the description and the links of Rob's channel. But if you look at this, can you make sure that we go and see this gentleman's channel? He's currently on 897 subs, so he's doing very well for himself. And let's make sure we can get up to that 1,000 subs mark. You know, that would be very good. As we all know, that subscribe word is bit of a misnomer on for that, but it is really a follow. So make sure you follow us, follow Rob, follow us, our content creators that's in the chat. It costs nothing. Just press that button, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do see the word subscribe and they think, oh, have I got to give my bank details or this or that? And it's like, no, none of that. I'm not going to know where you live. I'm not going to phone you up at 2 o'clock in the morning and do heavy breathing down the phone at you up. None of that. Just click on subscribe, like me streams every now and again, and it all builds the channel up. I mean, to be fair, I just to sort of in case there's anybody that sort of like is even vaguely interested, this is actually the second YouTube channel that I've ran. There was a previous channel that I was on that there was a parting of the ways. Let's just leave it like that. I set this channel up about September last year, and I got to about February, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. There was a number of things going on with myself, work and whatever. My brother, who's on the channel as well with me, and there was, he's got a lot of things on his plate as well. And to be perfectly honest with you, Tone, I wasn't really enjoying the football so much. So I think I got to about February, and I went, I'm just gonna just sort of walk away from it at this point. And at that point, I think I had about 500 and something subscribers. So of course, you sort of, when you stop producing content, there are going to be people who inevitably think, well, he's given it up and he's walked away, and so they click unsubscribe. When I restarted the channel 3 and a bit weeks ago, I was on exactly 499 subscribers, and as I speak now, just refreshing it now, 899, which is, like I say, 4 subscribers added in just about 3 weeks, which is just like ridiculous. I mean, I'll never be, and I'm not trying to be West Ham Fan TV or Hammers Chat or West Ham Network. I will walk my path at my own pace, and I'll enjoy it as I go. And if I need to take little breaks here and there, then forgive me, guys. That's life. But yeah, it's good fun. I mean, this obviously talking to yourself, the guys in the live chat. It's something I enjoy. We're all passionate about. I mean, most of the guys in here are obviously going to be West Ham fans, but not exclusively. Obviously, we've got Frankie, who's an Arsenal fan, and various others besides. We've all got a common love of good football. And it's the banter, it's the camaraderie, and
absolutely
those things that I really get a kick out of.
Yeah, I mean, for me, as you can see, I've got West Ham above my name of my channel, but pure football. It's all about football. I mean, it's the love of the game. West Ham obviously is going to be my main thing, but I do people. not so many Spurs people, and a few other channels as well. People, great people. So we go with that.
I'm
Peter's going
married
to ask
to
you
a
a question.
Spurs fan,
I'm going
I'm
to put that
afraid.
up on that, and then I'm going to get another question to you. Oh, is that where you got a smack around the back of the head? I thought you just moved in at that point.
Listen, she's a good cook, and I can't.
Do you
When
think
we
we'll ever
met,
get to another one? Do you think we'll ever get to interview refs after the games? Do you think
No,
we'll ever get to interview refs after the games?
no, I don't. I don't
Yeah,
think the
I'm in
powers that be
agreement with that.
will ever want that. I really don't. I don't think it's in their interest, because could you imagine the furore that if you had a referee that said the wrong thing, the journalist was absolutely, there'd be a feeding frenzy like you wouldn't believe, mate. That no chance.
No, exactly.
No chance.
Exactly. Just going to say hello to this guy as well. Lion Text TV, Arsenal guy as well. Big up Tony every time, my bro. Big up to you as well. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, his channel's he's new into the game as well, but his channel is starting to grow. So any Arsenal guys, go and have a look at his channel, give him a share, like, and subscribe to him as well.
Good luck to you.
Here's one for you. Name your 5 all-time players at West Ham.
Well, obviously, I said earlier, Tony Cotty's my favourite player, so he's one of the 5. These are not necessarily in any particular order.
What your class has been,
I'm going to have Cotty, because he was the first player that I idolised as a kid, and he was a kid himself. He's only about 10 years older than me, but I idolised him, still do. Paolo Di Canio, what a player! Jeez. And he was an absolute lunatic, absolute fruit bat. But my God, could he play football? I mean, everybody says about the goal against Wimbledon, and I was there, and he hit the ball, and we was in the Bobby Moore stand, and he was the other end of the pitch when he struck the ball past Neil Sullivan. And I always remember, as we've seen the ball sort of like drop onto his boot, and he strikes it clean on the volley. Neil Sullivan stretches to his left. He's never getting that. The net bulges, and we've sort of started celebrating, but we were completely like, did he just do that? Wow, what a player. But the goal against Arsenal, I remember there was a goal he got against Arsenal where he went on this mazy jinking run and ended up sort of who was it he put on his ass? I think it might have been Tony Adams or whoever, and he put it past David Seaman. He was playing against the top defense in Europe at that point in time, and he made them look stupid. Absolutely made them look stupid. So Di Canio's got to be in there. In terms of just sheer determination, bloody mindedness, raw aggression, passion, it's got to be Julian Dix, 100%. The guy he had an injury that probably would have finished the career off of anyone with less of a fighting, never say die attitude than him, and he came back from it. Unfortunately, then got the injury again several years later, and whilst he came back, he was never at that point. The damage had been done, but to come back from that injury the first time just showed the absolute raw determination and courage of the man. So I've got to have Dixie in there. I'm also gonna say probably 2 players that might cause a little bit of consternation. And there are some notable mentions that I'll get out there, because these guys aren't going to make the cut. I love Mark Noble. I think he's a fantastic player, great representation of West Ham down the years.
Yeah.
He doesn't make the cut. Ginger Collins.
Great
absolute
shout.
warrior, brilliant. Wasn't a West Ham player, but wasn't a West Ham fan growing up, but got the club, understood it. But the 2 players that I am going to chuck in there are Declan Rice, because I think, he had a rejection at Chelsea, which was the club he supported as a boy. That can't have been an easy thing to deal with. And then at 14 years of age, he gets another opportunity. He gets another bite at the cherry. He grabs that opportunity with both hands. 3 years later, makes his debut up at Burnley, if I remember correctly, under Slav. He goes on to win sort of like youth honours. He goes on to captain the youth team. He continues in the first team of progress. He has some bumps in the road. I remember him getting, in Moyes' first spell, getting absolutely just pilloried for a mistake that cost a goal when Joe Hart was in goal. He learned, he adapted, he evolved, he evolved from a centre-back to a defensive mid, and one of the best defensive mids in Europe, in my opinion. And he gave us 6 years of great service. In his last act as a West Ham player on the pitch, he lifts our first trophy in 43 years. And we then go on to get over £100 million in raw profit for the man. I think he was also a 3-time Hammer of the Year. And every time you hear him talk about West Ham, even to this day, he talks about the club in glowing terms. I've got nothing but admiration for the guy. I wish he was still a West Ham player, but I knew he wasn't going to be for too much longer. So I've got to have Deck in there. And my last one, and this is probably the one that could cause a little bit of a stir, but I thought he was a wonderful, wonderful player, and it just ended badly. And his name is Dimitri Payet. My God. Free kicks, dead ball situations, open play, jinking mazy runs. He was a player that got you off out of the seat. He was a player that was just entertainment, from the word go. And yes, it ended badly. And obviously, if you know what the story was going on behind the scenes, it was one of those where I think if people knew what actually happened with him, I think most family sort of orientated people would have actually understood if he'd have just been honest and said, look, this situation's happened, and my missus isn't very happy, and this, that, and the other, and I've got to go for my family. I think most people, if not everybody, would have been on side and said, do you know what, mate, we get it, we understand, and you go with your head held high, and you go with our best wishes. The thing about him downing tools and essentially going on strike, I think that was really poor. And I think it's probably one of those things that if he was sat down and sort of like you had a conversation with him now and the benefit of hindsight, he'd probably turn around and say, yeah, I handled that pretty badly. I could have done better.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, not in the same levels, but I suppose if you look at it, it kind of reminds you of back in the day of Joey Beecham.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
The late Joey Beecham.
Yes, of course, yeah. How bad? Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a sad one as well. Thanks, Budgie, and that. Got to dash off. Got to walk my dog. Smash those likes, everyone. So let's just catch up with some of the channels. Chat. I mean, Daz, Tony, I'll mention your channel tonight on Mod4. Thank you very much, Daz. Appreciate that. Porky's Budgie, take a pooper scoop.
Yes, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy.
See you tonight, Budge. Frankie saying, just subscribe. It's refreshing to listen and read opinions without negativity. We're all football fans and have a voice, which we all do.
Thank you, Frankie.
Everyone's in, just up to you as well there, John.
Cheers, Mama.
So that's good. We're on Gatesy.
Cheers,
Daz is also as well, just subbed. And
cheers,
another
Daz.
one. And another one as well. Henry's also
cheers,
done the
Henry.
same.
Appreciate it, guys.
So, the Iceman cometh to London. Usual, what channel is Budgie on? He's already said it. It'll be the West Ham Network channel, and it'll be Old School Hammers. Mama Flossie. I'm good up you will. Lion Tex is all the best on Channel Power. Yeah, exactly. He's doing really well. Iggy, I've got West Ham United legend Steve Lomas because he married a porn star.
Doesn't make him a bad person. Doesn't make her a bad person.
Yeah. Henry had to go as well. Get ready for my next podcast. See you later, all.
Cheers, Henry. Take care, mate.
Today game doesn't see the great players of old, the Canio, Brady, Rocastle. Yeah, look at Grealish at City. Has been moulded to play in a system and not to express himself. Yeah, and
he's
as
had the
Mama
flair
says there.
coached out of him.
Yeah, that's so true, Frankie. There's a question I've got. I'm going to come back to it from one of the people in the chat. Poet, what a player. Sad it all ended, though. Yep.
Yep.
It is true. Your mum is Sprilla. God, I remember Sprilla as well. Yeah, Beersley.
Hat-trick against Barcelona in the Champions League.
Yeah. Hello, amigos. Holla to Trip Vic. How we doing, Trip?
Hola.
Hope you all good. And he's saying, okay. And that's, yeah. So it's from Luke. Luke's saying, what's your aim for this season? Is it a Europa League place or Conference League place and a decent run in one of the cups?
Okay, this is my interpretation of it. So what I want to see, first things first, is I want to see football that doesn't send me asleep. And I say that quite genuinely, that is what happened last season. I've referenced this a few times, and this is not me sort of trying to sort of paint a picture. This actually happened. We played Sheffield United last season. We were 2-0 up. We was in the second half, and I was nodding off. I was bored shitless. Football was horrific. I want to see better football. I want to see football that is more pleasing on the eye. I want to see a bit more bang for my buck. It costs a lot of money to go to football, as we've said earlier. So I don't think it's an unreasonable expectation that I want to see my team win, but I do also want to be entertained. There needs to be that balance. And I don't think it was quite right last season, and with all due respect to the previous manager. So better football, pushing for European spots, even if we fall short, I'd accept that. If we were competitive for European spots until the closing embers of the Premier League season, and if we could also chuck in a deep cup run in one of the domestic cups at least, and when I say deep, I'm talking semi-finals or better.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think that's, like I said, I think that's the intention with all these signings anyway, that we are looking for Europe and obviously hopefully a decent cup run.
Yeah.
Iggy Goes Pop says, I'll always have good words for you. You know, number 41, as he's always gave 100%, and West Ham United did not match his ambition.
I said his name, Iggy. You can call him Declan Rice. It's fine.
Matt Foster, the worst thing Lingard did was not signing for you on a permanent deal. Yeah. Got too big for his boots, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Lord Grealish is not picking West Ham. No offence. No, of course.
Fair.
West Ham network. There you go. We'll set it to there, isn't it? Right. So another question for you, and this one is going to be very open-ended for you here, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you most proud of?
My children.
Brilliant.
Don't even need to think about that.
Says it in a nutshell. Children. Says it in a nutshell. Without, so that's an easy one for me as well, basically.
Yeah. Any parent would say that. I don't even need to think about that for a nanosecond. My children.
Brilliant. If you could change one thing in the world, what would it be?
God, there's a lot of things you need to fix in this world. I'd like to make people more tolerant of the views of other people. Because I think if people had more tolerance for the views of other people, it'd be a better place. And you can disagree, I mean, we can all sort of like have a discussion about whether it's football, whether it's politics, whether it's this, whether it's that, and you could have a completely opposite point of view to me, Tony, and I could have a completely opposite point of view to you on a particular topic, and we could argue our stance, we could present our cases, and at the end of it, we may well turn around and say, I still fundamentally disagree with you. However, I now have a better understanding where you're coming from, and I will never change my mind. You will never change your mind. So I tell you what, let's go and have a beer anyway.
Compromise, as always.
Exactly.
Let's have a compromise. Much easier.
Exactly.
Much easier. Well, they just saying, yeah, great answer. Yeah, Frankie's saying about your kids. Calf merchant, big up Trip Vic. And so Matt was saying, same Iggy Pop. The only way Doctor was stayed would have been Declan Rice would have stayed. Would have been we made a couple of Champions League, but we weren't going to make it. Yeah,
exactly
that's true.
that.
He was damn. I'll take that back now. I feel bad for saying that. Yeah, a bit more patience, understanding, but I'm afraid of world topics ain't looking good. No, and that's a very true comment there, Frankie. I must admit.
Sadly so.
Going to get you to look forward a little bit now.
Go for it.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Hopefully still happy. Where geographically, I don't think it matters too much. In terms of, mentally, physically, I just hope to be healthy. I hope to still be enjoying whatever it is I'm doing, whether it's my occupation, which I do enjoy, whether it's, being a father, whether it's being a husband, whether in 5 years' time, maybe, I could even, in theory, be a granddad by that stage. But whatever it is, wherever it is, in 5 years' time, I just hope I'm enjoying life, mate. That's it.
I think that's the crux of it. You can go anywhere, but as long as you're living, breathing, and happy, I think that's the key one for me.
Yeah.
So near in the end here now, Rob. So I've got a couple of more questions for you, then we can get the channel,
No problem.
the chat. But this one is going to show your inner youth now a little bit. If you could have a superpower, what would you have? Absolutely,
I mean, it's not a superpower, but Iron Man's suit was cool, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
You know the armor, the sort of like that he had the suitcase converted into the when he was at the. So that's not a superpower to sort of be Tony Stark and invent a sort of superpowered high-tech armored suit. So it's probably not a superpower as such. I mean, X-ray vision. If I turned around and said X-ray vision, the women would instantly turn around and call me a pervert, which would probably be a fair assessment of me. My wife would probably tell you. Oh, God, this is not one I've considered. Flight. Let's go flight. The ability to fly. No. Let's go. I'm thinking the Flash. Let's go. The ability to run at faster than the speed of light.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna become the Flash.
You can just see it now. I'm just going to go out and get a curry and then run away over to India and actually bring back a proper curry.
bring it back sort of freshly made, and you're like, hang on a minute, what's happened there? Like, don't worry, it's fine.
Yeah, I've applied for a new job now. I'm working for Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Just
Earning a fortune.
What's this one here? So, Frankie, sitting in my back garden with my wife and 3 kids, toasting Arsenal winning the Champions League, but to still be around. So that's the question in 5 years' time. Trip saying flying or super strength. Mama Flossie also says flying.
Flying.
Frankie says superpower. Spurs winning nothing. Laugh out loud. Oh, that's already happened. That's a great one, Frankie.
Oh dear.
Trip says giving people cancer along the way of doing perverted stuff. Yeah. Flash was great in Mortal Kombat X. True. There is that. Yeah. So yeah. My superpower, what would I have? God, that's a good one you've just said though, Rob. I mean, never thought of that one about, being the Flash.
The Flash, yeah. My name is Barry Allen and I am the fastest man alive.
Superpower, I think if you look at it, like Mystique has, to change into any person.
Ooh, like a chameleon. Interesting. See, again, you could be accused of being a pervert there, because you could turn into someone that you're not and sort of put yourself in a position you shouldn't be. Oops.
It's true. That was, yeah. As I say, I thought myself, that could be twisted.
Again,
that
it's a bit like the X-ray vision. It's like, you dirty perv. It's like, I know what you're up to.
Let's just say goodbye to Mama Flossie first of all. Thanks, Mama,
Cheers,
for being
Mama.
in. Sorry, guys, I have to go.
Thanks
Got to
for
walk these
subbing
dogs.
as well. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the other one I was thinking of was invisibility, but again, that could definitely go that way.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely like, oh yeah, I know what you're going to do. You're going to go in the women's changing rooms at the swimming pool, aren't you? No, honestly.
But also, that's another one. Are they talking about me? Going, oh yeah, they definitely were. You could, or you imagine that being in the boardroom, you listen to the talks currently going on between West Ham and whatnot. You go, ultimate happiness, both the Spuds and Man United getting relegated. Dream.
Yeah. How likely do you think that is, though?
Yeah. West Ham to qualify for Champions League and winning the cup in 5 years. That'd be brilliant. Superpower. I remember winter days, trotting back from school and wanting to click my fingers and be back home.
You have the sort of like the red shoes and just click your heels. Doesn't that work right?
He was that character in X-Men, and that he could, one with a towel, he can disappear in different areas and come back.
God, yeah. Wasn't that Nightcrawler?
That's the one. Nightcrawler, yes. Yeah, superpowers cure illnesses. Yeah, that'd be a great one.
That'd be a good one.
Vic, you have to be Professor X. Well, I could definitely qualify for that. I just got to shave this bit off. I'll be all right.
Yeah, the only thing is you need to be in a wheelchair, though.
True, there is that as well. Mama Floss saying, brilliant stream, Tom. Thank you, Mama. And great to meet you, Rob, as well, she's saying.
Cheers, Mama. Appreciate it.
Big up to the chat. Take care. And also, she's putting in Rob's channel for the West Ham Network. For Budgie when he's going to be on later on tonight at 10 o'clock. And obviously, my guest that's on the channel at the moment, that is the link to his channel. So if you haven't already,
Mama,
make sure you go over there and sub, follow, like, confirmation, you name it. Just sub to them. Just give the man a like. Hit that thing that says sub. That's all we've got to need to do. Large up, Mama.
That's a good one.
I used to love the Bionic Man. Oh yeah, plus Wonder Woman was a bonus. The Bionic Man. Remember that one?
Wasn't that Lee Majors?
Yes, Lee Majors. Yeah, Lee Majors. Yeah, he's the star then. Exponential Anger. Good to see you on here as well. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Hope you're keeping well. Nightcrawler's power was a double-edged sword. Every time he teleported, he went through hell on the way and out of the teleport. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, forget that one.
Yeah,
don't want to be doing that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he went through hell.
Doesn't sound a bit of me.
Yeah,
I'll stick with being the Flash. Thanks.
And coming up to the last question for you, Rob.
No worries.
If you were stuck on a desert island, what 3 people would you like to be stuck with?
Well, one of them's got to be my wife, hasn't it? Can't be any.
Is she around?
She's behind me.
Yes, of course she has. Yes, absolutely.
So one of the 3 people would have to be my wife, right? So that leaves me with 2. She's looking at me. I'm being asked a question. If I was stuck on a desert island, what 3 people would I like to be stuck with? So of course one of them has to be you, right? So now I've just got to pick 2 others. Right. Okay. She's looking at me. She's not buying. I'm not quite sure she's buying this. All right. Okay. Maybe I wouldn't have chose you if you'd have been standing behind me. What can I tell you? I've got to think about. This is what I've got to think about. Why are you bloody answering for me? Do you want to come do this interview? Okay. Can I carry on? Is that all right? So I'm a wind-up merchant. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Rob was supposed just before you carry on, Rob. Rob was going to be having a show later on tonight. That I think it might be in doubt at this point.
Might be a little bit cancelled at late notice. So. No. I've got to have my wife on there because listen, if I don't have my wife on there, I wouldn't be able to live. Because sort of, she's the cook. Sorry, sweetheart, but you've got to be there. Well, yeah, it does say what 3 people. Why? What's your?
I didn't know. I was going to say, your mobile phone because otherwise
My mobile phone. Okay, hold on. Yeah, all right. Okay, so my wife. So I've got 2 left. Bloody hell. Well, I've got 3 kids, so I can't bring all 3 of them. So I can't.
Could be anyone, past and present, famous,
Could be
not
someone.
famous.
Again, this is probably a little bit sentimental on my part. I think I'd like to have my granddad there, and I'll tell you for why. My granddad fought in the Second World War and he fought in the Korean War. And you know what? I lost him in 2001, and I never really sort of asked him too many questions about what he went through. And I don't know whether if I had have asked, whether he would have sort of wanted to go there. But it's one of those things that I'd have liked to have sort of asked him maybe certain questions. So I'd probably my granddad for that
Nice.
reason.
That's a nice shout.
So that leaves me with one more. Let me think. God, this is tough. 3 people: wife, granddad, and I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'd need a bit of entertaining, wouldn't I? I'd need someone to make me laugh. Frank McAvenny. That'd be a laugh, wouldn't it? Either him or Wardy.
Oh yeah.
Either him or Wardy. I'll tell you what, I'd probably slightly lean towards Wardy, and probably the only thing that sort of like means that is the reason why I'd probably have Wardy is because I think Macca would be more difficult to understand after time, especially when he's had a couple of beers inside him. So I'm probably just about going to go Wardy because I've got a better chance of understanding what the hell he's saying when he's pissed.
I mean, looking at that, for me, I mean, like I've already alluded to before, and that obviously, yeah, I mean, great show. I mean, you said, I mean, my grandparents were dead and buried before I was even thought of, put it that way. But my dad, yeah, definitely, miss him still to this day. Barack Obama, I'd love to have a conversation with him. And if we're going to go for a West Ham person, I think if you look at, you've mentioned Wardy and McAvenny in there, but I think one that's kind of the modern day era, which I think would be able to tell you quite a few stories as well. And that's Carlton Cole.
Good shout.
So they'll be the ones there.
Nice.
So just going to catch up on the chat, and then I'm going to get the chat to ask you some questions before we wrap up.
No problem.
Frank's saying, just subscribe to both your channels and look forward to tuning in on match day or the other maths. Brilliant.
Appreciate you, Frankie.
Frankie. Love your comments as well today.
Yeah, don't be a stranger if you come over to Massive. Get involved in the chat. They're exactly a good bunch there.
Iggy goes, Pop, Liz Early, my local landlord and kebab shop owner. Sorry about the
I'm guessing your wife's not stood behind you, Iggy.
Tripvic says she's not able to be stuck in the island now.
Well, probably not, but she's been with me for 25 years all told now, so
she's had enough, yeah. Exponential lager, laugh my arse off. He's doing on that one. Frank is saying 3 people: Arsene Wenger, Lee Evans, and Elvis. Lee Evans, God, imagine
Lee Evans.
that
Wow. You got him for the entertainment value, like I've got Wardy.
The wife would be happy for me to go.
She'd pack your suitcase and everything.
You said about your granddad and that, and that's a great answer.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Mustafa, which one would you be your love interest? Tripvic says, if I'm ever stuck in an island, I hope to God I'm all alone.
No, you got to take 3 people with you, mate. Sorry, you're not getting away with it.
That's the one. I think I need to regroup. Kelly Brook, Wonder Woman, and Elvis. Oof.
I wonder why you've got her there. I can't think. Is it for her intellectual sort of repartee, or is it just the fact she's got big tits? I wonder.
Put your answers on a postcard, send them in to be one of those. So, guys in the chat, thanks for hanging around with us. And that, we're coming up to the 2-hour mark and that, and it's been great having Rob on the channel. And there's been some great comments from you guys as well. But we give it another 5 minutes. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask Rob, this is your opportunity, and please put it out there now, and we'll get him to answer it before we wrap up.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be as open and honest as I can.
He said, "My lips are sealed."
Good man. You plead the fifth. That you get in less trouble that way.
Trip Fix say Kelly Brooks and Wonder Woman too greedy.
Have you ever noticed though? You've never seen Kelly Brook and Wonder Woman in the same room at the same time. Just saying.
That's true.
What would Kelly Brook look like in a Wonder Woman outfit? Outstanding, I'd probably say.
That would be the thing, isn't it? What was the what was her name? Is it Bella Emberg when you used to be with old?
Oh, Russ Abbott. Wasn't it Cooper Man?
Oh dear. Yes, Cooper.
I can't remember what her character was. Blunder Woman. That was it. Blunder Woman.
Blunder Woman. That's it. Blunder Woman. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's all coming back to me now.
Woman.
Bloody hell. 1980s Saturday sort of tea time, sort of early evening shows. Yeah, Russ Abbott. God. Russ Abbott's Madhouse, wasn't it?
Yes. Remember that. I remember the adverts he used to do for Hamlet cigars.
With the, yes.
The Des O'Connor record, puts it on and puts it in the water.
Puts it in the water and all the fish start jumping out. Brilliant. And he took that. Des O'Connor sort of like, he knew that was the rap that he was getting, and he didn't give two hoots about it. He actually laughed at it by all accounts.
Which is great. And a bit of Val Duke. Oh, bloody hell.
God, wasn't he the Irish fella with the sweaters and the rocking chair?
No, was that Wicker?
No, I'm sure that was.
Val Dunica. Yeah, he was Val Dunica. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was him. Yeah, the Irish fella.
Yes. Sweaters, the rocking chair. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
So, guys, anyone got any questions for Rob? If you haven't, that's fine. Not a problem at all. You just want to see if anyone's got anything.
They've cats got their tongue. Well, not tongue, obviously, because they're going to type the answers or the questions. But maybe I've been too much of an open book tone. Maybe they've got all the answers to the questions that they need.
It's true. It's true. Anthony Herbert, early doors used to have a poster of Blunder Woman in his bedroom wall. He told me.
Ooh.
Yeah, I used it as wallpaper. I didn't need to have a poster on the wall anymore.
Oh, I think that might be a question.
There you go, Frankie. Thoughts on the England manager? Is that the present or the interim manager, or what could be coming in, Frankie?
I'll tell you what. Let's deal with them. Let's deal with the previous one. I think Southgate, he probably did a decent enough job when you looked at. He got to semi-finals. He got to the final a couple of times. Blah blah blah. Which, other than Sir Alf Ramsey, no one else had done. Fair enough. He was given favourable draws, but again, he was a bit like Moyes at the end. In the football wasn't all that, and probably a lot of people wanted him gone, if truth be told. In terms of the guy that's obviously now got the job, which is in an interim basis, Lee Carsley, he's basically made the same journey that that Southgate made. He's obviously stepped up from being the manager of the 21s. So I guess that the FA are probably looking at it and saying, well, we had a sort of like that particular pathway previously and it worked out well, so maybe we'll give it a go this time. Possibly also it's the fact that, he's probably, I don't mean to be sort of disrespectful, but in a similar way to Southgate, he's a company man. Do you know what I mean? He'll probably be relatively cheap compared to if they actually wanted to push the boat out and get just plucking a name out of thin air, Jurgen Klopp, for example. Okay, people would say, "Oh, would you have an Englishman or a German as an England manager?" Look, if he was the guy that was gonna do the best job for England and would get them to lift the World Cup in a couple of years' time, mate, I'd give the job to my mother-in-law, quite frankly. So
True. Yeah.
I really don't care. Good luck to him. I mean, obviously, the thing that Carsley's going to have kind of that people will probably criticize him for is that obviously he played internationally for the Republic of Ireland, but he was born and raised in England. So he's one of these guys that has dual heritage. So I think, you need to give the guy a chance. Let's see what he can come up with.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Physics question from Trip Vic. Wonder Woman or Catwoman? Who's hotter?
Oh, God.
Now, it all depends, Trip, if you're talking about, obviously, Michelle Pfeiffer. What was the other woman? Oh, damn, it's got it in my head.
Yeah, there's been a few. There's been a few people that have played Wonder Woman, because you had Linda Carter, who played her in the TV series back in the 70s, but then you've had in the films more recently Gal Gadot, haven't you? So
that if you look at it, that one, yeah. Gal Gadot,
I mean, of course, they're not a patch on my wife, of course. Just saying.
I'm just trying to see the ones that have played her. So when you think about
Eartha Kitt, Halle Berry, yeah,
Halle Berry, that's the one I was thinking of. Halle Berry,
yeah.
that was probably the worst one, I think, if anything else. It wasn't so good. But did you know that she was a haemophiliac? She could, if she kind of cut glass, punched a foot or anywhere, she could have literally.
Halle Berry?
Yeah, she could have bled to death.
Ooh.
So she had to be very careful.
Not good.
Question: will Bowen get more caps under a new England manager? Thoughts?
I think the difficulty that Bowen's got, really and honestly, is that he operates in a position where he's got a lot of competition, and they're good players. That they're not players that I compare Bowen to the other players that occupy that space and go, well, Bowen's clearly better than him. It's like, look, I love Bowen, and with my claret and blue hat on, I'm always going to favour him, but the other players are excellent players in and of themselves, and it's just going to be a question of who does the manager prefer. And if it turns out that he prefers playing Bukayo Saka on the right hand side, for example, then it is what it is. I think for me, my priority is always going to be West Ham. So I would be like, look, so long as he's doing the job that he needs to do for West Ham primarily, what happens for England happens. And if he doesn't get picked, then that's just one of those things.
Yeah. Iggy Bogo's Pop Moors for Scotland, maybe not, as I don't dislike them. Don't dislike them.
I've heard whispers he might turn up at Preston.
Back to his own, bloody hell.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Well, the manager's actually left them, believe it or not. I don't know if you heard that.
Oh yes, I see that.
One game in, and the manager of Preston has parted companies. Like, what?
Mind you, if you saw, what the keeper did with the ball when he just played it out and straight at their plate and he just dinked it over him, you can understand, because he's looking around. What? And I think that's one of the reasons why he kind of dismissed. He went as quick as he could. Frankie's saying, by the way, chaps, my old man is from Northern Cyprus. My mum was from Scottish, and I was born in Hackney. Laugh out loud. Pick the bones out.
Wow, that's a bit of a mixture, isn't it? Bit of a mixture.
Wonder Woman. Trip saying Southgate is not a decent coach or manager. I was disgusted watching that trash football. Yeah, the Euros is awful.
Good, but I mean, like I say, you got to say that in terms of what he did compared to previous England managers who probably had better players in some aspects, he managed to find a way to get to a couple of finals and a couple of semi-finals. So,
this is true.
Got to give him credit for that. Yes, the football was diabolical.
The Euros was was bloody awful. Frankie's saying Charlie's Angels. Good evening, Michael. Please, happy to see you, Mike. Evening, gents. Catwoman by miles. Wonder Woman just tits.
Yeah, but nice tits.
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony Herbert saying Halle Berry. Yeah, Exponential Anger saying Eartha Kitty.
Yep.
because there was the other one. I'm assuming that's the other one he's on about, Lee Merriweather.
Lee Merriweather, that was the one that
replaced her, wasn't it? Yeah. Not my wife. Zoe Kravitz, most recently, she was very good in that role.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Question from Michael, please. Question: could Kilman make the grade for England? That's his aim.
Yeah, I think he could. Again, it's one of those positions, Michael, that there is a lot of competition and good competition. And obviously, I've always got this little thing that the England manager just always seems to favour the sort of the top 6 teams. You know, you always find that. I mean, how many times did Harry Maguire or other players like Marcus Rashford or have a time where their form was a bit patchy, and you'd have a player in the same position playing for West Ham, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Brentford, Crystal Palace, that you'd look, and on form you'd go, they're playing far better than that guy. And then the squad would be announced, and the guy playing for Palace or West Ham was nowhere to be seen, and the guy that was, on the bench half the time for Manchester United was in. And that wasn't just under Southgate.
No, that's true. Yeah, several managers. Exponential Andrew Bowen has the same difficulty as every other West Ham player in history. He's a West Ham player.
Yeah.
Outside, he's already broke that door down and got in view. Yeah, we saw that winning the Euros. I mean, that was yeah. So similar to what I already asked. Question: if you was a superhero, which one would you be and why?
Well, I've already answered that. I can't sort of now give a different answer, can I? It's got to be the Flash, because why not? Why not? You go from here to there at light speed. You can vibrate your molecules through solid objects. I think he can fire lightning bolts from his hands and stuff as well, can't he? It's just pretty
he can do
cool.
that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And as for why not?
Yeah, it's true. Superman for me, I must admit, I would be Superman. Bowen would walk into a lot of international teams, but he's being flogged, same as club first. It's true, very true. Yeah. Bowen needs to be kept hungry. Michael Blees is saying Bowen may get in England taking over business as usual. I'm afraid this is very true. Good evening to Aaron, Arsenal X-rated, coming in, Gunners and Knowles. Evening panel as well. You are indeed. Thought I'd dip in, give a like and say hello. Evening, Aaron. Hope everything's good with you.
Thank you, Aaron.
What do certain players, i.e. Harry Kane, have to constantly play for England, need to mix it up? As a Gordon Watkins. Yeah, it comes down to the manager, as Rob's just said, basically. That's that problem.
Yeah. Reputation
Michael's
as well,
coming with,
I think.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It's, I mean, Bowen deservedly got his call up for England, and I think everyone said that, that was the right choice, but only coming for the second half in the first game in the Euros, and did no wrong, as far as I saw it, did no wrong at all. And then, the rest is history, as I say.
Yeah.
Michael Blees, question: when will an England manager realise 3 hammers in the national teams equals win competition?
When we've got a manager from Dagenham, because that's where Alf Ramsey was from.
Yeah. Frank is also saying, I'll get pissed off when Arsenal are linked with overseas strikers, Premiership proven Watkins. Well, Frank, if you watch some of the streams that I've done with my co-host Anthony Herbert is in the channel on Hot Fuzz, we've talked about our 3 clubs, and when we talk about the Watkins and how Arsenal are doing business, I think there's your problem. It comes down to Edu, and I think it really solely relies on him. Frank Anthony's asking, best for both of you, best signing this season
for West Ham or just overall? Because I'll be perfectly honest, if overall, I don't know enough about the business the other teams have done to be able to answer that question, really. So I can only really answer it on behalf of West Ham. And again, it's in a theoretical sense because I've not really seen any of them play. However, I'm going to go with Wan-Bissaka, because I think that Kufal was a glaring problem, and I for the value for money signing Kufal, the service he's given, absolutely outstanding. But all things have their time, and I think his has come and gone. And he needed to be replaced. And he'll do an adequate job as a backup, but that's about it for him now. I think this will be his last season at West Ham. I think he'll be ushered out the door probably at the end of this season. I think he'll be the backup for the remainder of this season to Wan-Bissaka, and he'll do a good enough job when called upon. But I don't think he can be relied upon now for a 38-game Premier League season, I'm afraid.
I mean, it's a good shout with Bissaka and that. For me, and that I'm going to go with Somerville. What you think?
Okay.
Leeds Player of the Year. What he's done for them, for that club, and yet I think they was hoping to get anywhere in excess of 40 million plus, and we're literally kind of getting him for 25. And that's the player. So Anthony Herbert's just at the bottom there. Somerville, I bet Tony says. And he is. Yeah. I'm not going to. Yeah, he knew. He knows my answer. What is going to happen with Paqueta? Well, we've already alluded to it. He's going to play most of this season. And no doubt his case will either will come in, or they'll find some new evidence, and then they'll kind of get him out sooner rather than later. Seems to be the FA's way.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal will be Southgate to own, but I think he might promote a few from the 21s, hopefully.
Yeah. They'll probably all be from the Man Uniteds and the Arsenals and the Liverpools of this world, but never mind.
Yeah, we know, yeah. Aaron saying, I hope West Ham will have a good one this season. I'm expecting top 8. Some proper signings have come in, definitely. For me, anywhere between 6 to 8 position, I think it would be a bonus. Frankie, hit the likes, people. Great platform for opinion, non-biased, old school fellas.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
I won't be offended that you've called us old.
Yeah, Edu Nuff said, again, a mediocre player who has been given the chance to take this one-time respectful club forward. He went pear-shaped when David Dean left, and that's true. Absolutely. Yeah, he says, I knew it. Question before we wrap up. Rumour, West Ham United have put in bids for Solo and Zezi, who leaves, if this is true.
Have you seen my video, Michael?
Yeah.
I'm guessing you have. But if you haven't, go and have a look on the West Ham Massive. Who leaves if this is true? I mean, look, I've turned around and said, for me, I think we need to probably move on either one of Mavropanos and Aguirre. One of those two needs to go. I think we need to make a decision on who we keep out of Souček and Ward-Prowse. I think one of them needs to go. Zoom is already, I believe, going to be ushered out the door one way or another. And I think we need to try and sort of come to some sort of arrangement with moving on Maxwell Cornet and Danny Ings, because I don't really see that they add anything, quite frankly.
No, that's really true. Matt said, I think teams will progress so far against us on the pitch and then get lost and turn back towards their own half. Let's hope so. I like Somerville, who'll get you off your seat. I think so as well, Frankie. I think that's what he's going to show us. Top 6 to 8 will do me in the cup run. Anthony Herbert saying, Tony, I got your check for coming on your shows. Like a bounce. I've still got the string, Anthony. You're pulling the string there. Your check's probably coming back to me now. We ain't golden, olden. We are golden, chaps. This is very true.
That'll do. Perfect.
Solid in, Jeward out. Yeah, absolutely. And before we finish, guys, again, just to kind of put it up there, please make sure that you go and see. Let me just get that last banner off. Yeah, and like, share, and subscribe to the West Ham Massive Agency. You can find them on X, you can find them on Facebook, you can find them on Instagram, and you can also find them on TikTok. And I can tell you now, Rob does a great twerk on TikTok. So if you get the chance to, go over there and see that. But Rob, is there anything finally you'd like to say yourself?
First things first, I'd like to say thank you to yourself, Tone, for extending the invite to come on your channel, and really do appreciate that. And the guys in the live chat, appreciate you all getting involved. Thank you very much. For those of you that have subscribed on to my channel, the West Ham Massive on YouTube, Again, appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you haven't, if you wouldn't mind just popping over there and putting a subscribe on. Last I looked, I think we're on 902, which, like I say, given that we started business again just over 3 weeks ago on 499, to make that sort of progress in such a short space of time is just beyond my dreams, to be perfectly honest. So if we can get a few more of you in, that'd be great. I'm, like I say, I'm never going to be West Ham Fan TV. I'm never going to be Hammers Chat. I'm never going to be West Ham Network. But maybe I offer something different. I will offer my own unique perspective. I'll give my opinions, and they may not always be universally liked, agreed with. But as I say, I'm always a believer that, you know, I can have an opinion, you can have an opinion, they can be opposed to one another, we can argue our point of view, and at the end of it, we might agree to disagree, and we can still go for a beer.
Absolutely, and that's the main thing. I mean, obviously, Iggy Goes Pop, great show, guys. Hit the like button. Very
Cheers,
much,
mate.
Frankie's saying, great show, fellas. Look forward to joining in again. Thanks, Frankie.
Cheers, Frankie.
Aaron, have a good evening, gents. The same with you as well, Aaron. I'll definitely be watching Sunday. All the best, like, X, and sub. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Aaron.
And yeah, we're basically there. So yeah, make sure if you can, if you haven't done it already, share, like, and subscribe to my channel, and obviously definitely over to Rob's as well. And that great guy, and it's great to have him on this, for Spotlight. It's been an interesting questions, and it's been interesting answers. But yeah, Robbie's on 8 o'clock. Remember rightly tonight.
Yes.
So if you get the chance
myself and Nick Killington from Claret and Booze.
Brilliant. So if you can, guys, go over and show your face in there. Give him a little wave. Obviously, that like button, as we say, give him a little tickle. And other than that, we're just going to go a little outro, and we're out. So thanks very much, guys. Take care.
Thanks, guys.